Alright, boys, I'm getting ready to go to bed, but I stayed up late looking into this. I got a huge announcement to make. It's kind of crazy slash scary. Um, I typed in 3D spine model because the 3D skeleton I was working with in Maya that I bought was not accurate enough for my taste in its spine. Some of the details of the individual vertebrae of the spine to me did not look very realistic, and the artist did not put in enough detail or did not use enough reference and just created something more general, thinking nobody's going to look closely at the spine. So he spent more time on the front of the model, not on the actual spine. And it wasn't going to work for a robot that's going to be anatomically correct based on human anatomy robot. So I typed in skeleton model looking for a 3D model, and then I started seeing all these actual skeletons on Google search. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. I clicked on something, I just looked at it. And then it hit me, whoa, what are these made of? What if they're made of a material strong enough for a robot? It's possible. So I did some research, and it turns out pretty much every skeleton sold that's like for doctor's offices or art class or physical therapist offices, whatever, are all made of PVC, tiny particles of PVC floating in a plasticizer, and there's a name for that. Hold on, let me see what it was. Plastisol polymer, PLASTISOL polymer. So plastisol polymer is what the PVC material is embedded in. And that's what all these types of models are made of. And so it's basically PVC at the end of the day. And PVC is very strong, very rugged product. You can jump on PVC pipes and it doesn't faze them at all. Now these might be a lot thinner than that, but they're going to be pretty solid, I bet. We can always reinforce them with fiberglass, but I didn't even get to my idea. So basically, after really thinking about it, I realized I could modify these bones a lot quicker than making 3D models and having a 3D modeler 3D print them and then mail them to me, and then having to fiberglass each 3D print. It's just, that's a more expensive way, I think. Hold on, I just got some. Buying this, it's only $100 and free shipping, and you get a whole skeleton. I can reinforce strategically the whole skeleton, each bone individually, with fiberglass and epoxy on an as-needed basis, strategically, after doing some strength tests on the piece to see if it can handle the forces I think will be placed on it. And the bottom line is, I feel like this is a huge shortcut for me. Rather than continuing to make all the bones, I mean, don't even get me started on the legs and the pelvis and the feet. It's just a lot of work. And it already took me 5 years to get to this point, just barely cranking out some of the bones. Although, I mean, 2/3 of that time has been spent becoming an electrical engineer for this project. And that's not a trivial task. When the next step on your to-do list is become an electrical engineer, that's not trivial. But, so that's in my defense. It's not like it took this long to make the models, but it's very time intensive. And I feel that buying a 3D model that's already made is a huge, huge, huge time saver. It's gotta be. Look at the teeth alone. Look at the teeth, man. Like, I would have had to make each tooth, and these are great, and they look good, and they can be painted. I mean, this is a great shortcut. So, I think I've got to do it, man. We've already got the arm done and the shoulder girdle just about done. And we'll be able to modify the other arm of this skeleton pretty quickly to match. And we'll be able to just mount it onto this pre-existing skeleton here. Let's see, it's the left arm. We'll be able to mount the arm right onto here and start going from there. We will need to disassemble the whole torso though, 100%. But we can leave the waist down as is, just bolted together for now. We'll disassemble the torso. We'll repair each bone wherever there's bolts through it with fiberglass and epoxy. And we'll reinforce each bone as we see fit. Whatever we feel is needed, we'll reinforce with fiberglass and epoxy. So we'll wrap, like, on the back of the vertebrae, there's like 2 wings between each vertebrae and then a part that sticks out called the spinous process. We'll reinforce all that stuff pretty quickly with fiberglass and epoxy and call it a day. We might even cut it in half and make it a little taller. I'm not sure if this spine is going to be tall enough, but we can do a comparison. We'll still go ahead and modify the skull or the skeleton that I bought in 3D software to match my 3D mesh, and we'll measure my body and make sure all that matches. And once we have a very accurate 3D skeleton that I'm still going to go ahead and make, we'll be able to compare that to this skeleton and modify this skeleton slightly to match the dimensions. So, like, let's say the humerus or the bicep bone, let's say it's a little bit too short and it needs to be 20% longer. We can just cut it in half strategically, extend the length, and then use fiberglass and epoxy to create basically a belt around that, extending, joining the 2 halves. And so we can do stuff like that anywhere we need a bone resized. We might need a lot of resizing, we might not. I actually don't know. It's impossible to say so far. But I feel like just buying these could be a huge time saver, man. And they're incredibly anatomically accurate. You don't have to worry about that because they're made from real bones, 100%. They first do casts, or they make molds, metal molds from a real bone, and then they make thousands and thousands of these models. And one company just punches out a ton of them and sells them to doctors all over the world over the years. So this is from a real human body. It's going to be dead on accurate. It's going to capture all kinds of really important details that any 3D model that I were to make or buy would probably have some mistakes in it. This one will have no mistakes. So that's very valuable in itself. So for $100, man, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. We got to do it. So I'm buying this, and that's going to be a huge shortcut for us. And we'll go from there. I really feel that... Well, I almost feel bad for doing all the bone making that I've done now. It's like I didn't need to do it if I would have thought of this from the beginning. But hey, better late than never. I mean, is there any upside to it? I don't know. Did I have fun? I guess. But this is like a I win button. Just to spend $100, like, I spent like whole days on individual bones. This is like $100 to buy hundreds of bones. It's like 80 cents a bone. It takes a whole day to build that. Like, going from all these reference photos and all this stuff, like, whoa. I guess the upside would be, like, it forced me to study anatomy. Like, I know a lot of the names and stuff because I sculpted it myself. So I guess it was a nice and anatomical study. It also taught me a lot of fabrication techniques and made me a lot faster at fiberglassing and stuff like that, which is now helping me in all of my projects. And it's going to help me on this just to customize this skeleton too. If I would have bought this right off the bat, I would still be doing the nylon upholstery thread and super glue technique for instead of fiberglass and epoxy. Like, I was a total noob at the beginning with composite material work, and now I'm like super fast at it, and it's because I did so many bones. So I would say like that was great practice, and it gave me a new skill set. It made me a master of working with composite materials, and it's not a total waste, I guess. I don't know. It kind of feels like a waste, but maybe not. I'm not sure. I mean, just you can just buy it for this cheap. It's like, what? And the original site I was looking at, it was like $2,700 to buy bones like this. To buy it for $100, that's just such an amazing deal for me. I'll be able to make more and more humanoid robots now that I just have to spend $100 to get the entire frame done for free professionally, to be perfect anatomically correct frame. It's just like, this is incredible. So this is big for Adam. This is a very big thing. It's gonna shave years off of development because I don't have that much time to work on it. So any type of major shortcut like this is gonna have a major impact. So I mean, this is big. This is very big. Now it's pretty much down to just some minor tweaking and then hopping right into electronics pretty much. So it's looking good, guys. Okay, I did it. I bought it, boys. So this is cool. Saving time, making progress on the robot. It's good. I mean, this is going to be a huge time saver. Huge. Unbelievable. But like I said, it makes me just question all the work I've done now. All that bone making, man. Was it a waste? I mean, I came up with some arguments in favor of it, but I don't know now. So that's it, guys. That's my big announcement, and I'm still going to use all the bones I made and finished for sure. But anything that I didn't really come close to finishing, I'm going to try to use this other set of bones.